All right, let's just jump right in with a massive question. What if the universe, what if reality itself could be described like a protocol? You know, not just with the laws of physics as we know them, but as a complete system, almost like a piece of software, executing some fundamental cycle. That's the wild idea we're going to be exploring today. In this quote from the project, man, it really sets the tone, doesn't it? It has that perfect blend of physics, math, and deep philosophy that kind of hints at the sheer ambition of what they're trying to do. It suggests that underneath all the chaos and complexity we see around us, there might be a single, elegant, simple truth. So let's see how they propose we get there.
So, how does this so-called reality protocol even work? Well, it all comes down to one core principle, which the project calls the cycle of everything. This is basically the engine of their entire theoretical framework.
And here is that cycle laid out really simply. The idea is that reality operates in this continuous loop. It all starts from a state of pure unity. You can think of it like a single dimensionless point that holds all potential. From that point, it expands out into multiplicity. That's the complex, multidimensional universe we actually experience. And then, and this is the crucial part, it eventually returns back to unity, completing the cycle all over again. The project has a pretty cool name for this process: dimensional emanation and return. It's a powerful image, right? Dimensions literally flowing out from a single source and then, eventually, drawing back in. Definitely keep that phrase in mind as we move forward. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The project's own history actually mirrors its central philosophy. It went through this big transformation, moving from its own version of kind of chaotic multiplicity to a state of focused, clear simplicity. It's like they had to live out their own theory.
And this slide just illustrates that journey perfectly. Look on the left, the before state. You had two different frameworks, a mess of documents, math that wasn't super clear, it was complex. Now look at the right, the after, a single, unified framework, one core document, and a total commitment to what they call honest mathematics. They actually called this their truth through simplicity synthesis, which basically means they decided the absolute best way to express their big idea was to make it as clean and simple as possible.
And this wasn't just some happy accident, it was a deliberate philosophy. First, they consolidated everything, got rid of all the redundant parts. Second, honesty. They became super upfront about what the framework can and, just as importantly, can't do. Third, clarity, making it totally obvious what was proven math versus what was a more philosophical idea. And finally, focus. They cut out all the noise just to highlight the core insights. This discipline is really what makes the whole project so compelling. So let's dig into that third point a bit more: clarity. The project came up with this fantastic system for labeling its own ideas, which it calls an honest framework. And this, to me, is a really innovative way to present theoretical work. Just look at this table. Any claim in the project, whether it's mathematical or conceptual, gets one of these three labels. A check mark means it's rigorous. We're talking proven, accepted mathematics like Hilbert spaces. The little squiggly lines for approximation means it's a justified model, but it's still a model, something like a scaling law. And the diamond means it's conceptual, a purely philosophical idea like the unity paradox. This is so important because it builds trust. It tells you, the reader, exactly what you're looking at. Is this solid math, a useful model, or a cool speculative idea? And this commitment to honesty goes way beyond just the math. It extends to the project's entire scope. They are very, very clear about setting boundaries, defining exactly what this framework is and what it is not. So, what are you actually getting with this thing? Well, you get a conceptual model for thinking about reality's structure. You get potential new research directions to investigate. You get that brilliant distinction between proven and speculative ideas that we just talked about. And you even get a Python implementation so you can actually play around with these concepts yourself. It's really a toolkit for thought. Okay, now for the other side of the coin, which is just as important, what it doesn't provide. There are no testable predictions for experiments. You're not going to find any new technologies here. It's not a medical protocol, and this is the big one. It does not claim to be proof of how reality actually works. It is a philosophical and mathematical framework, not a finished physical theory. And just to show you that this isn't just some abstract essay, but a living, breathing project, here's a quick peek at the code base. You can see it's mostly Python, which makes a ton of sense for a framework that's designed for modeling and exploration. This is actual code you can run and interact with. So let's bring it all back to the project's core value. The creators sum it up perfectly. They say its worth isn't in claiming to have found the final answer. Nope. Instead, its real value lies in giving all of us a coherent, structured, and honest way to think about these massive, fundamental questions about the nature of existence. Which brings us to one last thought to leave you with. The project's own journey from a state of chaos to one of clarity suggests a really powerful idea. If we entertain this thought that reality does operate on some kind of source code, does this framework point us toward its most important characteristic? It makes you wonder, is simplicity not just a goal but the ultimate, most elegant feature of existence itself? Something to think about.